Miss GoElectric here. Today is Sunday, December 8th, 2024, and this is The Current, weekly EV news in about 10 minutes. Stellantis probably made the biggest waves this week with all kinds of news. The biggest headline might be the abrupt resignation of CEO Carlos Tavares. As we've reported, the brand is in poor financial health with negative cash flow this year of between $5 and $10 billion. Back in September, the company's board announced that they had begun the search for a replacement for Tavares. His contract had been set to expire in 2026. The company now intends to fill his position in the first half of 2025. Tavares had past success as the CEO of PSA Group, along with former employer Nissan and Renault, working under infamous Nissan CEO Carlos Ghosn. In a $50 billion deal back in 2021, FCA merged with Europe's PSA, making the newly formed Stellantis the fourth largest automaker in the world, and Tavares has been at the helm from the start. Under the merger, he set a target of cutting costs by €5 billion per year with investment sharing, engine and platform sharing, and development efficiency improvements. In the first 3 years, he led Stellantis to about $9 billion in cuts. During his tenure, he led the development of new vehicle platforms, and Stellantis now offers 24 all-electric models in Europe. Very few are available in the USA, and to be honest, none are class-leading. The company has said they plan to offer over 75 EV models globally by 2030. In regards to European Union regulations for reduced emissions to fight climate change, Tavares said, "If the problem is real, we must contribute to fix it. Is it tough? Yes, it's super tough. There's no discussion. It's super tough. But I think it's the right thing to do." The North American market has been an obvious pain point for him. In the third quarter of 2024, Stellantis reported a 27% decrease in net revenues globally, with North America leading the drop with a 42% decrease to $13.1 billion. Stellantis was the only major automaker to report a decline in U.S. sales last year. Dealers and investors have been displeased with high inventories and reduced market share during his tenure. A United Auto Workers Union strike cost the company billions as the organization clashed with Tavares. Its leader Shawn Fain said there is no doubt the membership played an important role in forcing him out. Stellantis is a behemoth of a ship to steer. Do you think they will find the right leader to usher them through the EV transition? It is not all bad news for Stellantis, though. This week, they've joined Ford, GM, and Rivian in receiving an advanced technology vehicles manufacturing loan from the U.S. Department of Energy totaling up to $7.54 billion. The funds will go to a joint venture between Stellantis and Samsung SDI called Star Plus Energy LLC. It will help finance the construction of 2 battery cell and module manufacturing facilities in Kokomo, Indiana. As with the Rivian loan we reported about last week, Stellantis will be required to engage with labor unions and must satisfy certain technical, legal, environmental, and financial conditions to receive the full sum. The proposed facilities are expected to create approximately 3,200 peak construction jobs and up to 2,800 permanent operations positions. The factory is designed to produce up to 67 gigawatt-hour of batteries annually, enabling the production of up to 670,000 EVs per year. Back in July, we reported that Stellantis also received a $584.7 million federal grant under the Inflation Reduction Act's Domestic Manufacturing Conversion Grants Program. $334.8 million was awarded for the company to convert the shuttered Belvidere, Illinois assembly plant to build EVs, and $250 million for the conversion of its transmission plant in Kokomo, Indiana, to produce EV components. Unlike the DOE loan, this gift of more than $500 million taxpayer dollars will not be repaid, and no profit from interest will be recovered. During recent UAW negotiations, Stellantis committed to invest $18.9 billion in the U.S. by April of 2028. On another positive note, on December 5th, the automaker also announced an agreement with Zeta Energy to develop lithium-sulfur batteries for future models that will launch in 2030. If you'd like to learn more about this technology, I'll add a link to my Zeta coverage from the 2024 North American Battery Show in this video's description. I interviewed the chief commercial officer who explained the process and benefits of their lithium-sulfur batteries. In recent weeks, Jaguar has attracted attention to itself with a polarizing rebranding campaign. On Tuesday, they showed their first concept vehicle at Miami Art Week.
We will start by launching the brand first, which will be at the end of the year. And our desire is when we first start to show the brand, we're not going to show any cars. People will look at this and say, what's this? What is it? Jaguar, I thought that was a car brand. It can't be a car brand. It looks like a luxury brand.
While the electric GT concept called Type 00 was not labeled as a production intent design, it offers some insight into the new aesthetic. Jaguar said they'll show a production version in late 2025 and begin sales in 2026, with production to take place at its Solihull plant in the UK. The new model will use the dedicated Jaguar electric architecture, with a target of up to 430 miles of EPA-rated range. The automaker is aiming for DC fast charging speeds, which will enable 200 miles of charge in as little as 15 minutes. Jaguar plans to open an additional network of showrooms in luxury settings. The first new brand store will be in the heart of the luxury fashion district of Paris. These locations will be in addition to existing dealerships. We covered a similar effort by Korean luxury brand Genesis in Manhattan, and I'll link that in the description as well. Do you think this design and marketing direction will help Jaguar reach a younger luxury audience? I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing more about the actual production model. General Motors plans to sell its stake of a battery plant in Lansing, Michigan to its Ultium Cell joint venture partner LG Energy Solutions. The project was announced back in 2022 with a start of production targeted by late 2024. The total budget was $2.6 billion, and the venture aimed at an output of 41 gigawatt hours annually. GM says they plan to recoup their portion of the investment through the sale. The Ultium Cell plants in Warren, Ohio and Spring Hill, Tennessee will continue to supply GM with pouch battery cells from the joint venture. This move comes as a part of GM's strategy to optimize its battery technology and capital efficiency, as outlined during their Investor Day earlier this year. This week, GM also announced that they're going to be working with LG Energy Solutions to develop those prismatic cells, which is in line with plans laid out by GM's battery VP, Kurt Kelty. In this video's description, you'll find a link to a previous episode of The Current in which I covered that in greater detail. GM also announced an expected $5 billion quarterly loss in China. The loss includes up to a $2.9 billion write-down on its joint venture with SAIC Motor Corp and $2.7 billion in restructuring costs like factory closures and discontinuing low-performing models. Chief Financial Officer Paul Jacobson said the company is seeking to be profitable in China next year at a smaller scale and believes its joint venture with SAIC can restructure without additional funds. GM reached peak sales in the country back in 2017 with over 4 million units sold in China. The 2024 forecast is 1.4 million units. Most of the products which GM sells in China are powered by gasoline engines, where 30% of all vehicles sold are fully electric, and about 20% are plug-in hybrids. Just a couple of weeks ago, we shared that ChargePoint was working with Hubject to implement plug-and-charge technology across their network. This week, the Society of Automotive Engineers Industry Technologies Consortia and its Electric Vehicle Public Key Infrastructure Consortium, along with the Joint Office of Energy and Transportation, announced a common framework for plug-and-charge. This program is intended to enable a Tesla-like charging experience for all EV drivers on any network. Secure payment and session authentication will be immediate and automatic for any new EV which connects to any compatible dispenser. Currently, each automaker integrates a proprietary authentication system with limited support across all EV charging equipment. This new system adds additional protection the consortium calls a certificate trust list, which enhances the existing ISO 15118 plug-and-charge standard with certain technical and safety standards. The framework will also enable vehicle-to-grid and other grid services. This could become a pathway for profit, which encourages charge point operators to join the universal standard. Thus far, the project, which is funded by the participating EVPKI members, has cost around $1.5 million, and testing of the technology will begin early next year. Increased EV adoption requires the charging experience to be simple and easy for all EV drivers. This could be one major piece of the puzzle. Another piece of the puzzle is the opening of closed networks. This week, Rivian opened their latest outpost charging location just outside of Joshua Tree National Park in California. The station features 12 DC fast charging dispensers capable of delivering up to 300 kilowatts with CCS connectors, but with future support for native NACS connectors through hardware updates. The site also includes amenities like restrooms, water stations, and a play area. It's also the first of Rivian's Adventure Network locations to support non-Rivian EVs. Rivian plans to expand this initiative with sites in Texas, Colorado, Illinois, Montana, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and New York expected to open within the next 3 weeks. As is typical, the cost will be lower for Rivian owners. Non-Rivian EV rates are currently 60 cents per kilowatt hour. Well, that wraps up today's episode. If you want to support The Current, please consider sharing a link to this episode online. If you haven't already, I'd like to invite you to join me on other social media platforms including X, LinkedIn, and Instagram for up-to-the-minute insights and exclusive coverage. Thank you for watching, and until next week, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.